Hello class, welcome. I'm sorry I couldn't be there today, but I wanted you guys to be able to get the full lesson so you would be ready just like B-Day to take that common assessment next week. So what you are doing today is going through this video, following the directions on every slide. It will tell you exactly step by step what you need to do, what paper you should be taking notes on, etc. Okay, so you have the 90 minutes to get through this video and all the activities that it says to do. Also, I threw in a little pink for Valentine's Day. Sorry I couldn't be there. I did get you guys Valentine's, so we're going to have to rain check, and I'll give you those when I see you on Friday. So right now, your headphones should be in, and you are going through this lesson completely on your own. This video will tell you exactly what you should be doing and how long it should take you. Here's the flow of it. Do now, finish lab from last class, notes practice, a little more notes, and some practice. At the end of class, you're going to put away the laptop back in the charger. And if you have dying questions, please text me. I will have my phone. So let's go ahead and get started. Like always, guys, I want you starting off on that do now. So you can go ahead and pause this video. Give yourself about 5 minutes to try the do now for Wednesday/Thursday. So go ahead and put this on pause and get going for 5 minutes. All right, this do now we are going to go over it as a review of DNA. So it says the shape of DNA can best be described as, if we remember what DNA looks like, it's like this. It kind of looks like a twisted ladder. So how many strands do we have? It is double-stranded. And contains the nitrogenous bases. Remember, the bases, guys, are the letters. So how many letters do we have? If you need to write a note to yourself, you can. The bases are the letters. If you remember, we have 4 of them. Apples in the tree, car in the garage. And we can go ahead and shorthand what the bases are. We have A, T, G, and C. So we have 4 nitrogenous bases. Next part says choose the correct strand that would be formed during replication. If you look up at that poster, replication is when I go from DNA to more DNA. Okay, so I'm not changing to RNA. And remember, apples in the tree, car in the garage. In DNA, we have a T, not a U. So I can go ahead and get rid of some answer choices. I know letter C is no good and A is no good either. Now, this one thing you have not seen before, these 3 and 5 numbers. Well, remember the bases have to be opposite matches, A and T and G and C. So do the numbers have to be opposite. So wherever you see a 3, your new strand should start with 5. And whenever you see a 5, your new strand should have a 3. So if we're going to the opposites, over here, I know I need to be starting with 5 and ending with 3. Apples in the tree, car in the garage. That gives me to letter B as in boy is the correct answer. Let's go to the second one, guys. If you remember, this is a di-hybrid cross. Remember, di means 2. I use this type of a cross when I'm looking at 2 traits. Here are the 2 traits I have are height and hair color. So I gave you the 2 parents. Remember, step 1 is making a key. Now, I kind of already made a key for you in the problem. So I'm going to go ahead and do step 2 for you. Step 2 is finding those combinations. So I'll go ahead and write one of the parents down here. And the other parents right below it. So how we find the combination, guys, is we are distributing just like math, and then I distribute on the bottom. So my first combination here looks like big T, big B, big T, little b, little t, little b. That's, oh, I missed one, I'm sorry. I missed the little t, big B. And over here, I'm doing the same thing to find those combinations on top, do it on bottom. You can go ahead and do the same thing. Big T, little b, big T, little b, little t, little b, and little t, little b. Then you are going to put one parent here across the top, one parent on the side, and then go ahead and cross them. Now, to get the offspring, what I would do is go ahead and make a key, right? So the first one, we're looking for tall and brown hair. Maybe put a check in all those. Next, we're looking for tall and blonde hair. Maybe put those in X, and so on and so forth. That should get you to the right answer. Go ahead and get that. Do now, put it away. So we're going back to this theory of evolution, which is genetic change over long periods of times. There are 4 mechanisms that are driving evolution. One we started talking about in the lab, which was natural selection or survival of the fittest. So we're going to keep going with this idea. Who is more, or what traits make someone more suited to best survive in their environment? At this point, make sure you get out our lab that we worked on last class. Those should be in the back of the notes section. You're going to go back to that website we were on, so you can search on Google again. I have it here as well as your paper. Glencoe Natural Selection Lab. You're going to click on that first website. Once you have got there, we should have already done, if you're in period 1 and 2, you should have already done step 1, which was reading the how is natural selection modeled and answering those questions. Okay, so right now you should be on step 2. If you read step 2, it says lab simulation. So the instructions are on the screen and they're also on your paper. It says click on mutation 1 and select condition A. So mutation 1 was large body and long legs, and condition A was the new predator. So as you can see there, we have a new predator. There's a fox. And we have to think about which of these animals is more likely to survive, the one with long legs or the normal one. Well, you should be thinking the one with long legs is going to survive if there's a predator because they can run away. So nature will select for the mutant in this case. Go ahead and click on the button that says natural selection. You're going to watch what happens. Now you'll see a screen that says 5 generations later. You can see there that we only have 1 normal organism left and we have 3 of our mutants. That's exactly what happened. The normal ones died and the mutants survived. Now go ahead and click on where it says population graph. You'll see a blue line that corresponds to how many organisms that are normal are present in every generation, and you'll see an orange line that corresponds to the mutant organisms for each generation. I want you to look at that graph and then fill out this chart. It's green on my screen. So for example, if you're looking at the chart for generation 0, go to the blue line. In generation 0, there are 50 of the normal, and if you go over to generation 1, it looks like about 42 of the normal. I'm not going to go do the rest, but I will get you started on the mutant. The mutant at generation 1 looks like about 10, and so on and so forth. Once you fill this out for this condition of the new predator, go ahead and stay on mutation 1 and click condition B, which will be restricted food. Do the same thing. Click on natural selection, watch what happens, fill out the population graph. Then you're going to go on to mutation 2. Do it again for A and B. Go to mutation 3. Do the same thing for condition A and B. Once you are done with that step, go ahead and flip to the back of your paper and do step 3, which is answering the follow-up questions. Now in total, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, guys, I am giving you about 20 minutes for this. So put me on pause for 20 minutes. Go ahead and get step 2 and 3 done. If you're done earlier than 20 minutes, come back to this video so you can keep moving on. So now that we've done the lab, we see natural selection in action. We see that these variations are arising from different mutations, and sometimes they allow organisms to survive if they're best suited in that environment. And nature is kind of selecting for them in a way. Let's take notes to solidify that. So again, these notes are in that lab packet we were just working on. By the way, guys, if you were absent last class and you don't have this lab packet, there are extras up on the books in the back of the classroom. So this next section, you are taking notes on this paper. First up is a quick review is what is an individual? An individual is a single meaning one organism. Okay, so as you can see here, an individual, I just have a deer. Now, a population is individuals of the same species living in the same area and they're sharing resources. So a population, I have many deer. So a species, again, going over another definition, a group of individuals that are closely related and they can produce fertile offspring. So right here, we're looking at all these different bears, okay? So when I say the word fertile, how you know if something is the same species, you have two organisms, if they can produce fertile offspring. Fertile meaning they're able to have kids, and those kids are able to have kids. So if two organisms can have kids who can also have kids, that means they're part of the same species. Now, natural selection, we've talked about it, right? So when nature selects organisms in a population that are better suited for the environment to pass on the traits to offspring. So let's go ahead and look at this. It says before selection, you'll see I have all kind of dots, the yellow, the orange, and the red. After natural selection, you'll see that I only have the red dots. That means being red, that trait must have been the best for that environment. So what happened to the ones that didn't have the traits that were best in that environment? Well, they died off. So I'm going to mark X's through them. Now it says, final population. You'll notice they're all red. Well, we should ask ourselves why. The ones that died off, that weren't very suited for the environment, can they pass on those traits of being orange and yellow to their offspring? No, because they're not going to have kids. So what's happening is the red ones survive, and then they pass on those traits of being red to their children, and eventually everyone is going to have that trait. So look at this picture. Another scenario for you. Which phenotype, if we remember phenotype, is a physical appearance like blue eyes. So which phenotype has been selected for by nature? So generation 0, which means right away, and then we see where it says several generations or many generations later. So in generation 0, we have two phenotypes. We have dark colored. We only have one though. And then we have many white-colored moss. So we have dark and white-colored moss. Several generations later, we have more dark-colored and less white-colored. So what happened to those white-colored ones? Well, they died off. And the dark ones were the ones that survived and had kids and passed the trait of being dark down to their kids. That means nature selected for being dark. In that environment, there was some reason that being dark allowed those moss to better survive. So again, with natural selections, the ones that are surviving are the individuals that have better traits for their environment are more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass those traits on. This can lead to changes in a population and eventually creates a new species. So take a look at the birds here. Okay, we notice we have two phenotypes of bugs they're eating, the green ones and the brown ones. Okay, so if you notice, the birds are eating the green ones. So we start off here initially with more green than brown. But since the green ones are getting eaten, that means they're not very well suited for their environment. So nature is selecting for the phenotype of being brown. So in the pink box that says, what will the population look like over time? So in many generations, do we think this population is going to be mixed, green and brown bugs? All green or all brown? Well, the answer we should know, guys, here is going to be mostly brown bugs. And it's because nature is selecting for the brown bugs because they have a trait that's allowing them to survive, reproduce, and then pass those traits on to their offspring. So, as you can see in this picture, we have our answer here. Several generations later, all the bugs are brown, and it's because over time, there will be more individuals in these populations with the advantageous trait. Advantageous, this word, means good or beneficial. These traits that are good or beneficial are called adaptations. Okay? On this slide, guys, it's very important. A big misconception is that a lot of people think, well, if it's better for these bugs to be to be brown, do these bugs, can they just change themselves and be brown? No, they can't just change themselves, right? This is an inherited trait, something that they're born with. So the way the population is changing, the individuals themselves aren't changing. They're dying off, causing the population as a whole to become different. Adaptations are traits that allow an organism to survive and reproduce better in an environment. Now, these traits can be physical, something you can see, or behavioral. Behavioral is a way that they act. So, two types of traits, guys. We have physical, I can see them. Behavioral, the way they act. So, I'm going to tell you some quick examples here. Physical would be speed, camouflage, claws, wings, fins. Behavioral would be like elephants. Are they hunting in a pack? Are they hunting in solidarity? If you don't know this word, I would go ahead and write it down. This word means alone. Now, some species, it's going to be beneficial for them to hunt in a herd or a pack of animals because they're going to have a more likely time of catching whatever prey they're trying to eat. So these are just adaptations for various organisms. So here, guys, we already went over this. I want you to think about this for a few seconds. What is the adaptation? Remember, the adaptation is the trait that is good. Correct. It is being brown color because in their environment, you're not going to get eaten because you're harder to see by the birds. You blend in. What is the adaptation here? So I have some of them covered up. This one with a giraffe is a little easier to see. So if you think about giraffes, what trait do they need in order to reach their food? Yes, they need to have long necks. This here we have a geese on water. So what trait do they need to be able to have? Well, it looks to me like the ability to glide on water would be one. So I'm going to say glide on water. Or you can say the way that they catch the food. That is a trait that is beneficial to them given what they eat. So individuals better suited to live in their environment that nature, remember, is going to select. We say they have greater fitness. Now, fitness isn't what you think it is. It isn't this guy right here. Fitness is an organism's ability to produce fertile offspring. Fertile, we've already talked about this word. Fertile means that your babies can also then make more babies. So you're fit for the environment if you can make babies that make babies. For example, humans, right? It's shown in this picture. Through sexual reproduction, sperm and egg, they make an offspring who can make more offspring. Same with what you saw in the bugs. Those bugs were obviously fertile and had babies because they passed those traits down. So remember that populations are adapting, not an individual, right? If you think of a giraffe can't say, oh, I wish I could reach this food. Let me grow a longer neck. No, the individual isn't changing. The individual is going to die off. Other individuals will survive, and the population will change over time through natural selection. So populations are changing, individuals are not. At this time, guys, one more, actually, we're going to go ahead and skip this. So the gene pool slide, I want you guys, don't put an X on your paper. I'll come back to it when I get back. We're going to skip slide and this next slide. And like I said, we'll go over that really quickly on Friday. My last question to you is, how is natural selection related to adaptations? At least 3 sentences. These are on the bottom of your notes. So I gave you a picture here. Number 1 says, long time ago there were giraffes with short and long necks. The ones with short necks couldn't eat and they were really hungry. Number 2, only the long-necked giraffes survived. So that should tell you a little something about natural selection, give you a little reminder. Go ahead and put me on pause. Take about 3 minutes to write 3 complete sentences, and you can use this picture to help you. So we're back here. That is it for our notes today, guys. And in the pink box, you can see I said no need to write the checks for understanding. Just think about the right answer. So check for understanding. Is this an adaptation? So did nature select for it? Or is this an acquired, which means learned trait? Explain why. So think about accents. I have a map of the United States, and you can see in one part of the U.S. we have a Western accent, we have a Texan accent, a country accent. Were these accents adaptations that help best them survive, or were they just learned? No, right? These are not adaptations. Nature's not selecting for these. These are something you learn and you acquire, you pick up from your environment, the people around you. Next, check for understanding. It looks like we have spotted skin. Is this an adaptation or something that this organism learned? No, this is an adaptation. Something that they were born with, nature selected for because it helped them survive the best. Think about this one here. Can individuals adapt? So one organism like a giraffe, can they say, I want to be more genetically fit for an environment. I want to grow a longer neck. Yes or no? The correct answer there was no, right? Remember, individuals do not adapt. It is populations that are adapting over time through natural selection. So what is fitness? Go ahead, take a few seconds to think about what is fitness. Letter A says how strong an organism is. That's what we think of when people are fit. They go to the gym, they work out, they're strong. That is not the fitness here that we are talking about. So letter A is not correct. The amount of prey a predator can catch. So if you can catch more food, are you fit? It's not our definition either. Remember, our word-for-word definition is right here. The ability to produce fertile offspring. Remember, this word fertile means you have children or kids that can also then have more kids. The number of offspring an organism produces, that does not make you more fit. Why do some traits become more common in a population than others? Go ahead and think about this one. Now, a big misconception a lot of people are going to say here, the traits that become more common are the dominant ones. that thought is incorrect. It has nothing to do with dominant and recessive. Because think about it. We have curly versus straight hair, or blue versus brown eyes. Do one of those make you more likely to survive? No. So it doesn't have to do anything with dominance. Remember, it has to do about what makes you more likely to survive in your environment. That is letter C. The traits that are better suited, then natural selection selects for them. I want to go over this flu data in the United States. So look at this picture. Think, where do most people in the United States have the flu this year? There's a little key right here you can use. I circled around the pink. I tried to get as many of the states in, but as you can see, where it says high flu prevalence, which means a lot of people have it, is the region in pink. Now, this might be kind of astonishing because I always tell you guys to get the flu shot, but 52% of people who get the flu shot still this year got the flu. So why is that? Why are people getting a flu shot? And it works for some people, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. So if I wanted to, can I choose to be resistant to the flu? Can I say, I don't want to get the flu? If yes, why? If no, why do you think that? Okay, I'm thinking of some ideas. Some people I feel like are going to say no, because that's in your genetics. That trait to be resistant is in your DNA. It's inherited from your parents. Some people could say yes, because you have the flu shot. And that is supposed to prevent you from getting the flu. So I want you to go ahead and write this slide on the back of your notes. Write down this word resistance. We're going to see it a lot. Resistance to disease is when the DNA is not affected by a disease. You are born with this resistance. So being resistant is an inherited trait. You cannot choose it. It is in your DNA. And when you're resistant to a disease, the disease doesn't affect your body. Your DNA doesn't notice it. Okay? So you cannot just choose that. If I was born with this adaptation, remember, an adaptation is a trait that makes you more likely to survive. Of course, being resistant to a disease would. In a million years, how would the human race, all the humans on Earth, how would it be affected? Do you think nature would select for this, or would it not? Exactly. Since being resistant is an inherited trait, some people have this inherited trait. That if nature is going to select for this trait that is best suited to survive in your environment, humans would be, over millions of generations, they would be resistant to the flu. Go ahead, we are done with notes. You can put that in the back of notes, or you can keep that out if you want. Last thing we're doing is completing this practice alone. This was on the back table. You should have picked up on the way in. Go ahead and get it if you did not do that. So this is over natural selection adaptations. Use your notes if you want. Put me on pause and give yourself about 20 minutes for that, okay? If you have finished everything through the practice, I want you to stop here for first and second period only. What I need you guys to do is put away your laptop and a charger so it's ready to go for next period. Put away your headphones and your binder. If you are in third period at this point, I need you to continue. Third period, this is your extension activity because you have a little extra time. You should have as well picked it up on the back table. It's in a red folder that says only third period. What you're going to do is look at this screen, look at the pictures of all the spiders and read about each spider below. I tell you about some of their traits and their characteristics. After you read this and examine the pictures, the slide right here, because you're going to have to go back and forth from your paper to read the environments and the spider and choose which one goes with what. The paper that you picked up looks like this. I want you to read the environment descriptions. Okay, so I have environment A, B, C, D, E, and F. Match each spider to the environment that you think it would live in. Remember, think about traits. Think about where each spider would be best suited to survive. What I want you to do, guys, is flip back to this record your answer choices right here. So with each spider, you're going to write the environment, A, B, C, or D. Once you are done with this third period, I want this to take you about till the end of class. You can go ahead, wrap it up, stop here, put your laptop in the charger, put your headphones and your binder away, and have a great day, kids. I will see you on Friday.